Hello, my name is Russell Myers. Welcome to Issues Unite. All right, so the Kherson offensive, Ukrainian Kherson offensive has started. Or not. We've been hearing for days that this offensive was going to be starting, it's going to start today. Doesn't happen. Well, definitely tomorrow. Next day, it's happening today. No, well, tomorrow, definitely. Maybe in the next 2 or 3 days, or over the weekend, or, you just keep on hearing all of this stuff. Now, it is definite that they are planning an offensive. They've amassed troops and equipment along the line of contact with Kherson, but so far, not much is happening. Now, I've made a comment about Russian intelligence talking about Ukrainians planning on using illegal tactics. Now, that calls into question just exactly what they are, but here is one thing about it, and let me bring this up. All right, so it seems that a huge part of the Ukrainian offensive is reliant on an attack on this dam right here. And it does look like there was an attempt, a missile strike, which missed the dam. And so if they destroy this dam, what is going to happen is that this entire valley, including the entire city of Kherson, will be flooded. All the way up to, somebody else was saying it would flood this area here. This is highlands up here on the east side of the river. But, so most of the Russian forces are amassed in Kherson. So it would flood. It would definitely flood this area, especially right around here. Now, and then there are people saying, well, that'll cause Russian forces to withdraw to the east side of the river. Well, really, why wouldn't they just move over this way where it's not flooded? Move closer, whatever. Now, something to point out is that this dam is very large. This is a Soviet-era dam. You can see this. There's a huge part of it here. You're not likely to breach this part or this part. You'd pretty much have to hit it right in the middle. Now, for days, I'm going to go back out here. And you go up here and you see that this dam is damming water that goes all the way up here from this reservoir. Now, for several days, Russian forces have been releasing water at an accelerated rate from the dam to reduce the effects of any flooding that may occur if this were to actually happen. Now, all this pink here means that the Russian forces control this on either side. So, you're not going to get a commando team in here. It's too far off for artillery to hit. So it would have to be missiles, drones, and a drone probably wouldn't be able to take out that dam. It would have to be a really powerful series of strikes from drones, but even then a drone would probably only take it down to the water line. Then I heard, somebody else was saying, well, they could use an underwater drone. And yeah, that's a possibility, but chances are that Russian forces have already taken that into account, and now Ukrainian forces are in control of this area that is not in pink over here. So yeah, if they have an underwater drone, they could possibly do that. But if the Russian forces have considered that, they could have set up netting or whatever in the before you get to the dam, which would prevent that from happening. So I don't. It is starting to sound like the entire Ukrainian offensive is reliant on that one thing, on taking out this dam, because they have not really made any moves that indicate that they're really going to do this without that happening. Now, I've been hearing a lot of bad information, and I'm going to call out one name right here, which is Gonzalo Lira, which I've heard him give out bad information in the past. And in an interview with George Galloway, he was talking about, the conscripts that are the draftees that have been called up from Russia, the ones that are being called up are not actually going to the front, and they're actually going to Russian military bases in Russia, and the active duty are going into the Donbass. And no, I don't really believe that is accurate. Putin and Lavrov have been very clear, that exactly how they're doing things. And when they say this is how we are doing things, you can generally count well over 90% of the time that this is exactly how they're doing things. That these are prior military that have been called up, they're being sent into Donbass, and many of them were, just that were interviewed. We're like, yeah, okay, well, this is what we got to do. This is what we got to do. We are going to protect our people. Okay, so you might actually cause a problem with morale if you don't send them now. But then he also says, well, they might, they could have called up and be sending in 500,000, forces in there. No. Look, Russia has, set up the logistics for this. They have planned the logistics for this. And they plan for 300,000. They've got the equipment, food, supply chains, etc. for 300,000. They have fiscally budgeted for 300,000 troops to be sent there. Anyway, and I heard the military summary channel saying, well, Russia might send 1 million troops. That none of that. This is still, at this point, a special military operation. This is not full-fledged war. They're not going to send in 1 million troops. Not at this point, anyway. So 500,000 to 1 million, you're hearing all kinds of crazy stuff here, which I just don't believe in any way. The fact is that, if you want to hear good analysis, listen to the new Atlas, because he gives a very good in-depth analysis of all of this. The fact is that Ukraine is low on equipment, as is well evidenced by Them always asking for more equipment, more weapons, and more advanced weapons and all this kind of thing. They're low on troops and low on morale. The ones that they have called up are people that did not want to fight. You think during Vietnam, the people that were drafted did not want to fight. Well, you got the same thing going on in Ukraine with the people that are being forced to join the military against their will and be up at the front lines. They don't want to be there. This is not the military that they had at the beginning of this. These are not experienced, battle-hardened, well-trained soldiers. Yeah, they've got a few thousand that are going to other countries, but that's a small percentage, a single-digit percentage of their troops that are over there, and many of them are still in other countries training. If they're in another country training, they're not doing a lot of good for the front line right now. You put people through basic training. In the U.S. military, if all you've got is basic training without advanced infantry training or tank training, these things take weeks, months to learn. Then, when I was in the Army, if all you had was basic training, then what we referred to you as was cannon fodder. That was it. And that's what these people are. If they're just being given just a few weeks of training and being sent to the front lines, they are cannon fodder. This is not like the Russian forces that are being called up, because these are people that had former military experience, at the very least, training. I've pointed out that they have mandatory conscription in Russia. You reach 18 years old, you have to spend like 2 years in the military. So every one of these has had at least 2 years of military experience. A huge part of basic training is just physical fitness and basic firearms training. When I was in the military, now it's 2 weeks longer now than it was back then, but like for anti-tank weapons, we probably had 30 minutes to an hour of training on this. You got to like open one up and point it, and that was it. And now there are a lot more different types, and they're dealing with anti-tank weapons from a lot of different countries. So, that takes more and more training, and all this equipment coming from all these different countries requires more training. Otherwise, you're going to hand somebody a weapon and they don't know what to do with it, which leads to more demoralization of your forces. I don't know what to do with this. No. I accidentally skipped over something here. Where this dam is concerned, where you're talking about flooding this entire region, there are still tens or hundreds of thousands of civilians in Kherson and the townships around here. If you flood this area, here's Kherson, then you got all these different little towns around here, you are going to drown tens to hundreds of thousands of civilians. The planned offensive on Kherson by Ukraine is why Russia has been evacuating civilians out of the area so that the civilians are not at risk. So yes, if they breach this dam, if Ukraine destroys this dam and floods this region, that is absolutely a war crime. That is absolutely against international law. So, and it's real amusing. Let me go up to this. I have to keep on flipping back and forth between screens. Yeah, so up here, President Zelensky says he has information that Russia has planted bombs at the Kakhovka hydropower plant and plans to blow it up. Calls for international mission to prevent a disaster. Really? So, he's projecting here. Why would they plant bombs when they can hit it? When they can hit with missiles and drones? They've been taking out electrical plants, power plants. Yeah, okay. So they might hit the power plant. They're not going to blow up a dam. But Ukraine absolutely would. For 7 years or more, they had blocked off most of the water supply going to Crimea, which is a crime against humanity, until Russia took control of Kherson and opened up that water supply again. So yeah, Ukraine will do this. Russia's not going to do this. So, it's real funny that right now is when Zelensky is making this claim, while Ukraine is trying to knock out a dam. Are you getting this? All right. Is there going to be a Kherson offensive? Maybe. If it's all dependent on whether they can destroy that dam, maybe not. It may not ever happen. If they try to conduct this offensive without that, then it's a suicide mission for as many as 60,000 Ukrainian troops. So share this video, talk about these subjects. If you can afford it, please donate whatever you can to help expand this channel and my presidential campaign. And let's hope for peace. No matter what happens here, let's hope for peace. I'm hoping that the Ukrainian forces just say, no, we're not going to do this at all. Even the ones, if they're told to blow up this dam, they're going to say, no, I'm not going to kill that many people. I can always hope that. But then, they might shoot that person and then turn to the next one. Okay, you do it. And, sooner or later, one of them's going to try. All right. So, thank you for watching. I hope you have a good day, and I will catch you in the next one.